Coming up next, it's the Pro Wrestling Report Primetime Television, a special edition this week. We take you through the top 5 Survivor Series of all time, and we present Be the Booker for this Sunday's WWE Survivor Series on pay-per-view. Which Survivor Series was the best ever? Find out now, right here on the Pro Wrestling Report Primetime TV.
And now, celebrating 13 years on the air, this is the Pro Wrestling Report Primetime with David Hero, Frank Cosentino, Linda Kay, the man they call Meathead, and Damian Nelson. All the latest from World Wrestling Entertainment, total nonstop action wrestling, and more. This is the Pro Wrestling Report Prime Time.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Pro Wrestling Report Primetime Television. David Hero, a special edition of the Pro Wrestling Report Primetime. This Sunday is the Survivor Series on pay-per-view, so we're going to dedicate this entire show to not just this Sunday Survivor Series, where we're going to be doing Be the Booker for the event, but we're going to share with you our top 5 moments, top 5 Survivor Series of all time. And David Hero, the list is plenty, with the event starting back some 23 years ago. 1987.
Why do you got to put a number on it?
Why not? It was for reference, for fact, for
Making me
historical.
feel old.
How old were you when the first Survivor Series came out? 1987?
I wasn't born.
Right.
Honestly, I think I was 15.
Really?
Yeah.
Just learning some things, huh?
Learned a few things.
David Hero, I'm going to start with, and you know what, this list is going to be in no particular order leading to number 1. Number 1 will be the top moment as we both see them, or separately see them, of Survivor Series moments. And for me, I'm going to start with the year 2001. I don't know if you remember, but that was the end of the alliance in WWE. WWE had earlier in the year purchased WCW as Vince McMahon. I went out and I bought my competition. Which happened on from Cleveland on Raw earlier in that year in March. And we saw Shane McMahon and Stephanie McMahon aligned with the Alliance. And it was all or nothing. Team WWE versus Team Alliance Survivor Series. The team led by, I believe, the Rock on one side and Austin on the other. I could be wrong there. But we saw Team WWE win triumphantly in that pay-per-view. And I will say this, while the WWE completely fumbled the Alliance angle in the purchase of WCW, in my opinion, this pay-per-view had a lot of meaning because at the time, you still were believing in it enough to think that, while knowing there wasn't, but to think that there was a chance that the WWE as we knew it would go away.
I don't know if I go that far.
Not in real life, but I mean, it had enough realism to it, the story itself. And as
you
good,
honestly thought
no.
Lance Storm and Hugh Morris were going to wipe out the WWE with The Rock and Kurt Angle and
They
Mick
weren't in the
Foley?
main event match.
But I'm just saying, when it first started, who was the first guy you saw? Lance Storm.
I remember the pay-per-view and Vince McMahon standing on the ramp with his arms up, triumphant, because Team WWE won. Fink, Howard Finkel, did the ring announcement.
Who was all
It was
on the
almost like that
Alliance?
old school Raw from this past Monday night. It just felt good.
Who was all on the Alliance side?
I believe it was Jericho. I believe it was Rock. The rest of the names escaped me.
The
Kurt
Alliance.
Angle.
The Alliance.
Oh, the Alliance
yes.
side. We'd have to look that up.
RVD, Austin, Booker T.
Bush Snizzle.
I mean, of course, The Rock could single-handedly beat all those guys.
Why do you get too deep into it, David Hero?
No,
Weren't you having fun when watching wrestling in 2001? Really? Cynical for that long?
No, I wasn't cynical. I was married. You know, it'd be fun then.
Any? Survivor Series 2001, as good as that event was, and as meaningful as it was, at least to me being a wrestling fan, I don't know about this one, that one over there, but the next night, do you remember the next night on Raw?
Yes.
Paul Heyman got kicked out.
Gone.
Jerry Lawler came back.
Come back
the Miss
and
Kitty
in.
thing
Yes.
got taken care of.
See,
Ric Flair
that was his
debuted.
fault. You never quit a job over a woman.
Well,
Never.
By the way, our best wishes go out to Jerry Lawler, who's suffering from what appears to be a severe staph infection in his leg after suffering an injury, and that's, as you say, nothing to play with.
No, not at all. But he should have known better. He shouldn't have been on the playground. Fell off the teeter-totter.
Vince McMahon said the famous line that Raw after that Survivor Series, "Security, get this woman out of my ring, and referencing Stephanie McMahon. That was also when JR attacked Paul Heyman.
Did he attack him?
Yeah, Paul Heyman, he got kicked out, then he went after JR, and JR just started nailing him in the back, and then Lawler. It was just so perfect. Only the way WWE can do, because Lawler's getting escorted out by security. McMahon announces.
No. Heyman's being escorted out.
Heyman's being escorted out by security. And McMahon announces that Lawler is back, and Lawler comes out, and he's laughing at Heyman as he's getting carried out, fighting, kicking, and screaming all the way. We're going to have these clips, by the way, on our website, pwrshow.com, so you can take a look at them and relive the memories as well. But a good show, a good pay-per-view, and one that really told a great story, I think, over the course of the night. You don't like it?
You loved it, because you talk about it often.
It was a great Survivor Series. Not the greatest.
No.
There was one better.
It was great from the point of view that the E won, that they beat WCW and ECW.
Mm-hmm.
But not just me.
Well, what's first on your list?
Not first, but it's
Just the first one
just
you're going to talk
randomly.
about.
The first one I'm going to talk about is the debut at Madison Square Garden of The Rock at the Survivor Series.
1996.
Came down with the no pest strips on his arms and around his neck. Rocky Maivia.
And that was when JR said, "That's Blue Tripper right there. That's the next big thing in the WWE right there."
You know what? He looked
Rocky
absolutely
sucks.
ridiculous.
Rocky sucks.
But he had a great look. It's like, wow, this kid, he looks like the total package. Not like Lex Luger, but he's got a good look. He's a good-looking guy, a great build, had charisma. Yeah.
I think Mark Merrow was in that match, too.
I think Jake the Snake Roberts
Jake
was.
the Snake was in that match.
It might have even been Barry Windham as well, the Widowmaker.
Ah, yes. The one thing I remember so prominently in that matchup was at the beginning during the introductions, when Sonny was on commentary with Vince and JR. And JR and Sonny, because that was when JR was going after Vince for being indicted and all this other stuff, and he brought in the fake Razor and the fake Diesel. And JR and Sonny just went back and forth. And Sonny said, I was the most downloaded woman in the history of the internet. And JR responds, "You did what? You did what?" And then Vince goes, because the pyro was going off for Mark Merrow, "Whoa! What kind of fireworks are these?" And it's just classic dialogue from two people. And JR was so great in that heel role, especially at that pay-per-view where it really came to light. And there were so many shots, and at a time before wrestling was ruined, there were so many shots being taken that were legit between JR and Vince McMahon that were just fun. It was a good pay-per-view. I was there live, in Madison Square Garden. That was
actually,
the year of
we
all.
can see you there.
No, you can't. I had bad seats. But that was the year I went to every major pay-per-view that year, from the WrestleMania through the Survivor Series. Traveled all over the country.
What was the main event of that Survivor Series? Was it Sid and Shawn Michaels?
It was.
It was.
And Shawn won and got booed out of the building. Oh, no, Shawn, did he win or lose?
No, he lost.
He lost, but still got booed out of the building.
Because then Sid won it back at the or Shawn won it back at the Rumble in San Antonio.
Mm-hmm.
That's when he knocked out Jose Lothario with the TV camera.
Yeah. That was a good series. It was a very good series.
That's my 5.
All right.
All right.
Next for me would have to be, I would say, 1990 David Hero. And this is one I think you agree with. It's on your list as well.
Absolutely.
When The Undertaker debuted with his manager, Brother Love, at the 1990 Survivor Series, defeated Hulk Hogan, I believe, for the championship,
No.
which led to...
No. He was in a traditional Survivor Series match.
Was he?
Yes.
What led to this Tuesday in Texas? Was that 90 or 91?
I think it was the following.
'Cause there was a
91.
rematch.
It was
Really?
91, yeah.
Oh, sorry, I was a year off.
That's okay.
Gonna make me a liar?
No,
Make a liar out of me
but
for a year?
Undertaker, that's when he beat Coco Beware, Dusty Rhodes.
Really? Coco Beware beating him was
No,
an
no, no.
accomplishment.
Well, at the time, absolutely. He beat Dusty Rhodes, the Dwayne.
When did The Undertaker get sold to...
It was shortly after that, maybe 6 months later, to Paul Bearer.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
That was a good Rumble. 1990 was a good year as well for wrestling. And
It was a good year in general.
The Undertaker
Spent 9 weeks in
debuting.
Mexico. Are you kidding me? It was fantastic.
Undertaker, were you on a cruise ship?
No.
The Undertaker debuting on that pay-per-view was a good show. Very good show from WWE. David Hero, next on the list, I would have to say, is the original Survivor Series.
Absolutely.
1987 which obviously that was the year of WrestleMania 3. The big headlining main event match on that pay-per-view was Hulk Hogan versus Andre the Giant,
Headlining me.
where Hulk Hogan won and retained the championship. And
Step on a duck?
Did you step on a duck is the question actually this week. And then going through that year, the story continued as it was Team Andre versus Team Hogan at the Survivor Series. Now, those teams comprised of some very interesting individuals. On the Andre the Giant side, it was the one-man gang, who was OMG before OMG was cool.
Yes, he was.
And he was also OMG before Hakeem was cool.
Hakeem.
It was Hakeem.
No, it was...
It was Hakeem.
It was...
the African Dream Hakeem.
A-K-E-E-M.
There was an H.
Amigo. You're thinking of Hakeem
Look it
Olajuwon.
up, Cal. Look it up. Who is Hakeem Olajuwon? Butch Reed, the Natural.
The Natural.
Ravishing Rick Rude. And King Kong Bundy. That's one heck of a team.
That's a lot of beef on that team.
On the Team Hogan side of things, we're speaking of beef, 2 all-beef patties, Ken Patera. Also,
Wow, the
on that.
McDonald's reference for Ken Patera. Google it. Ken Patera McDonald's.
And then when you're done with that, Google Jim Cornette Dairy Queen. Wrestlers just shouldn't go to fast food places,
No.
it seems.
You know what's funny about
Or
Hogan's...
Ed DeBevick's.
You know what... yes, absolutely Ed DeBevick's. You might wind up wearing a white sheet. Not that kind of a white sheet. You know what I mean, a white robe. And find that
Like
on-
you're dead.
Yeah, no. Well, on Thursday nights you could be, yeah. You know, an interesting thing about Hogan's team...
Which include Don Morocco, Paul Orndorff, and Bam Bam Bigelow.
Those are all guys Hogan feuded with. Hogan really
Oh, that
had
is
no
true.
friends,
Oh.
except for Bam Bam Bigelow.
Bam, bam. With Oliver Humperdinck.
Yes,
Rick
Sir
Rude
Oliver
with
Humperdinck.
Bobby Heenan and I forget who else, but he had 2 people like ringside.
Slick.
The Doctor of Style,
Yes,
the Reverend.
Yes.
Pope likes him.
How could you forget Slick?
I didn't forget Slick, I just forgot him in that particular instance.
No, you know what? That entire...
I got a lot on
Survivor
my mind, I was down at Impact last week.
Yeah, I know you
We'll
mentioned
talk
that.
more about that later.
I can't believe the Pope gave you his sunglasses. Tremendous. But anyways, the entire pay-per-view was great. You had 10 tag teams going at it. Demolition, the Killer
Here
Bees,
comes the
Young
Axe!
Stallions, Sheik and Volkov.
Demolition, by the way, to be inducted into or to receive the Pro Wrestling Report Lifetime Achievement Award this year, coming up in just about a month's time.
Less than that. Blizzard Brawl, Saturday, December 4th. Matt Hardy.
Big
Matt
announcement.
Hardy.
We hadn't
Matt
talked about that
Hardy.
yet.
His first ever event will be, since he's left the E, will be at Blizzard Brawl against Mr. Anderson.
That's a hell of a matchup.
That's huge.
BlizzardBrawl.com. The original Survivor Series. Who knew 23 years later that concept would be so...
Outdated?
Walked away from.
No
Because
kidding.
every match on that card was 5-on-5.
That was a great... That was the time when you got to see matchups you would never see.
Yeah.
It was fun.
Which Survivor Series had the dinks? The doinks and the dinks? Was it 96? No, it wasn't 96. It wasn't 97 either.
No, it might have been
93 it
94.
feels like.
Oh, yeah, there.
No, we're going to get corrected.
It was
of course, 'cause
Doink
we
and
don't know
Dinks
from our
against
memory.
Bam Bam and Luna.
I thought Jerry Lawler was involved.
Oh, and yes, I think you're right with all the little miniature kings.
Yes, yes, yes.
Sneezy and Sloppy. And,
Wheezy.
yes, yes.
Survivor Series 1987, the original, the first
Easy now.
Survivor Series to happen some 20 plus years ago. Next on your list, David Hero.
I don't want to say the gobbledygooker.
Was that 91? 89, 80? Who cares?
Yeah,
It's a great clip, by the way. We'll put that on there, too.
it is a great clip. I guess for me, I'd probably have to go with The Rock winning the World Championship at the Survivor Series.
That's 2 rocks.
Yeah,
You a rock, Mark?
I love The Rock. Who doesn't love The Rock? That was a great tournament. You had Gilbert, you had Jeff Jarrett, you had Mankind, you had Big Boss Man, you had Undertaker.
That would be 1998, St. Louis, Missouri. It was a deadly game, David Hero.
That's
I
when
was
the
there.
rock bottom mankind.
Was there live at that event, and what a story they told that night.
It was great. I didn't see it coming.
No, it was a screw job the year after a screw job, but they told such a great story all night long. At the beginning, with Vince McMahon, remember that epic introduction of Gilbert?
Yes.
With the glasses and the little notebook and Pat Patterson holding the microphone?
And what a great run for Gilbert after that.
Yeah.
Dwayne Gill, God bless him. He was crushed when Christian beat him for the light heavyweight championship. Just crushed.
You had Austin get screwed by Shane McMahon, who had aligned himself against his father, Vince McMahon. And you had Mick Foley being corporate Mick Foley and a bit confused at the end of the night when the McMahons helped The Rock win the championship.
It was great. I remember we're sitting at Romines watching it, and so many people were so upset about that. They could not believe it.
From the beginning of the night to the end of the night, they told that story.
It was perfect. That's
Another
when
great
wrestling was
JR
fun.
moment. Three! Count them, damn it! 3! When Shane didn't drop the 3.
Mm-hmm.
Survivor Series 98, that's a good one. Because it's a deadly game.
Really?
You might remember 87. I remember 98 a lot better, you know.
No, I'm older than you.
A little bit.
Yeah.
That's my number 1. My top Survivor Series of all time, 1997.
Really?
8, rather. 1998, yeah.
Now see, and here I thought the next one would have been your number 1.
No.
Oh.
Just because I don't like him and he's pure evil.
I'll let you start then.
1997. It's obviously the most talked about Survivor Series. I think this was next on your list since I've given my number 1.
Well, my number 1 was The Rock.
98?
Yeah.
Why did we do number 1 before we finished?
Because I thought this was your number 1. I was giving you the headlining main event of the show.
You've messed up this entire episode.
Well, it's not the first time.
The Screwjob, 1997. Quite possibly the event that introduced the Attitude Era.
Changed wrestling.
Forever did that. And there's so much to be said and so much to reminisce about as to how real that moment felt, because it was.
Real, yeah.
From the loogie,
Nasty.
from JR's reaction.
I'd rather get knocked out than spat on like that.
What made it
that
so
happened
real,
too.
what made it so real for me were Patterson and Briscoe shuffling Shawn Michaels out of that arena faster than they ever thought imaginable. And then the ring getting filled with debris. Bret Hart's tirade after, which we didn't see on air, but we saw later on. It was so... Hebner throwing himself out of the ring after screwing Bret. We'd learn over the course of the years that it wasn't just Vince that was making the call, that Shawn was in on it, as was Earl. Matter of fact, yeah, I did it, is what Earl Hebner says now.
He has a shirt about it.
Such a monumental moment in professional wrestling.
You know, I got to watch Wrestling with Shadows with Bret Hart
Mm-hmm.
before he even was on TV, and he walked me through everything. It was a good 2-hour movie we watched. Wow. Talk about him not... I mean,
The smirk on his face, and he said, well, I knocked him out. I hit him.
the trust he put into Shawn and Hebner and Vince, that they're going to do business the right way.
But was Bret... Everybody was wrong in this scenario.
Everybody,
let's lay that out.
absolutely, yes.
Bret included in that,
Mhm.
correct?
Yeah, Bret just should have been, okay, fine. Shawn, you know what, you're going to go over, big deal. I'm getting $4 million a year to go to
Three.
WCW. But, yeah, it's the price of doing business, I guess.
And that it was for the 1997 Survivor Series. You know what, as a matter of fact, I don't even know if I remember anything else that happened on that pay-per-view. Anything.
I don't either.
Nothing. It didn't matter, because at the end of the day, this was the big story, and for the next couple of months, that would be the big story. Because I would say back in 1997, David, the internet was there. People knew some things about the wrestling business, but it wasn't as prevalent as it is today.
No, not at all.
This was huge, and the only way to find out more about it, really, was to watch WWE programming, and that was the introduction of Mr. McMahon. Talk about an unplanned character. But was it, though? Because remember, Austin stunned him in 1997 in September. He started taking that role where people knew more so that he was in charge of the company before that Survivor Series. Maybe this was all just a big plan.
Some people have said that.
And this was just, it just perfectly fit into place.
Maybe he's like, hey, Bret, go cash in, get your $4 million a year in WCW. You know?
And we saw what would happen to them 4 years later.
Yeah. Amazing.
Well, those are a total of 6, but our top 5. WWE Survivor Series moments. 5 from David, 5 from myself, and we agreed on 4 of them. That's
about
pretty
that?
surprising, yeah.
And there's a lot more that we just couldn't get, but we can only do 5.
Absolutely, and let's review and recap the years in order, ending at our top Survivor Series of all time, which wasn't the Screwjob.
No.
1987, the original Survivor Series, headlined by Andre versus Hogan, the teams of Andre versus Hogan. 1990, Undertaker's debut. 1996, where The Rock debuted in Madison Square Garden. 1997, The Screwjob. 2001, when Team WWE conquered Team Alliance. And the top Survivor Series of all time, at least in our opinion, 1998. Such a great story told at the Deadly Game in St. Louis, Missouri. How will 2010's edition of the Survivor Series fare, David Hero? Let's talk about those main event matchups. We're going to go ahead and go to the whiteboard and do a little booking
BTB?
for how we see, or David Hero sees,
I see it.
this Sunday's pay-per-view
segment.
going. Keep in mind, we'll be live right after the pay-per-view with the wrap-up show. We didn't bother for Turning Point because, well,
That was 6-1-1.
several things going on, so I didn't want to hear you gloat for 45 minutes.
Well,
We
you had
didn't
a
do
hot
that.
date with one woman. I don't blame you.
We'll be live on Blog Talk Radio this Sunday night, right after the pay-per-view, and we'll see if these picks come to fruition. Let's go now to the whiteboard and be the booker. Well, David, we've reviewed our top 5 Survivor Series moments. Survivor Series is a good pay-per-view, many times more historic than some of the other signature pay-per-views, such as the Royal Rumble and the Survivor Series. What is this? What are you doing?
That's Sheamus.
He's not. We're not. We
I know,
don't
but-
have a.
He's easy to draw on the whiteboard.
It's time for Be the Booker, BTB,
Yeah, you
for the
know me.
WWE Survivor Series, which is this Sunday night on pay-per-view. There are many matches announced. However, we're going to focus on the 3 championship main event matches.
Headlining main event matches.
Headlining main event matchups.
That's why I had to
and-
put him in here because he's getting screwed on this pay-per-view.
Yep. Mm-hmm,
He's
sure.
got to represent.
Of course, these picks are for entertainment
EPO, baby.
purposes only. First match we're going to talk about is a handicap match as Lay Cool, both of them, Layla and Michelle McCool, will defend the Divas Championship against Natalya. David Hero, we saw this match last month on the pay-per-view as well.
And the month before.
And Natalya not able to defeat Lay Cool or either of them in matchups before. Now she has to try to defeat both of them to get the title.
I'm going to be honest. I'm a little torn on this match. Because normally third time is the charm.
1, 2, 3 strikes.
Chase finally gets it. But let's not forget what pay-per-view this is.
Survivor Series.
Which is notorious for screwing over the hearts.
Ah.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Is there a screw job here? I don't think so. Because you know what? I don't think Brett
Hart?
is going to let Vinnie Mac screw over his niece on the pay-per-view. I think Natalya leaves the Divas champion. The odds are against her 2-on-1 Survivor Series, all the Bret Hart, hoopla. I think she's due.
She pregnant?
No, she's not. Well, I don't know. Ask Tyson Kidd that question.
I think the odds are too stacked against Natalya. I think Lay Cool walks out
But what
of
good
the
does it
Survivor
do?
Series
But
still
what good does
the
it do?
champion. What good did it do the last 2 months? Aside
It
from the
was.
chase.
It wasn't a handicap match the last 2 months. It
Which
was
makes
one-on-one.
it more in favor of Lay Cool.
Well, then she's buried.
And you'd be surprised by that?
Yes.
Really?
Right now, yes. Just saying. I'm gonna stick with Natalya.
Do you know when Beth Phoenix is coming back?
Soon. So a Natalya Beth Phoenix feud will be great. 2 girls that can work.
I don't know.
Hey,
Alicia Fox doing well
hey,
this past
listen.
Monday night.
I love
last
Layla.
week, the week before.
You know,
the
Alicia
week before.
Fox has been
The
doing
week
great
before.
on SmackDown versus Raw. She is still the Divas champion as far as I'm concerned.
That's a fantasy world.
It works for me.
What was this all about?
I love Layla. I would love to see her as the champ, but fact of the matter
She is the champ.
stay as the champ. Fact is, listen, she may want to go home for a little while and help her husband recover from surgery.
That being Michelle Nicole.
Yes. Do you think I would profess my love for Taker's wife? No thanks,
Oh,
pal.
you'll be fine. The World Heavyweight Championship will be on the line as Edge attempts to dethrone Kane, a task that The Undertaker could not achieve in
3 times.
3 separate incidences. Will Edge be able to walk out the new WWE Champion? Remember, was it last year when Edge made that surprise return? When Jeff Hardy had gotten taken out? Or was that had to be last year. It was last year. It's Survivor Series.
Was it?
I think so.
No. Last year, Jeff Hardy was already gone from
Was it?
WWE. It was 2 years
That
ago.
wasn't 2 years ago.
Because Edge returned at the Royal Rumble.
Was that long ago?
Yeah. Where have you been,
I don't
Nelson?
know, time's just flying.
I guess. Boy, this match is what, 8 years old? I mean, really. The last time they were fighting over Lita. Remember that?
Uh-huh.
There's only one winner. If he loses to Edge, him beating Undertaker the last 3 months means absolutely nothing now. He has to stay strong for a while. They got to just keep him rolling as the world champion on SmackDown. Edge doesn't need it right now. Let Edge chase for a little while.
And that was going to be my next question. You got some time to kill here. Going up to the Royal Rumble, going up to WrestleMania. He's got to be occupied by somebody. Who else on the SmackDown roster other than Dolph Ziggler and Cody Rhodes could he be occupied by?
Alberto Del Rio. Him and Kane, I think, will be great.
Alberto Del Rio's a heel.
Doesn't make a difference. They need something for him.
We'll see tonight on SmackDown more Nexus involvement surrounding Kane. What, if any, role might the Nexus have in this matchup on Sunday's pay-per-view?
I think Nexus is more concerned about down here than dealing with these guys over here.
Last month I would have said the same thing. But they got involved in the Buried Alive match. Could they play a role?
They could.
Should they?
Why not?
Will they?
Probably. But I still like Kane no matter who's going to be helping him to win that match.
They help Kane. Kane doesn't know why. Kane attacks them. Kane owes them.
Oh,
Maybe
Kane doesn't owe them
involved
nothing.
after all this.
Not at all.
In their mind.
If anything, Kane might feud with Nexus down the road. Who knows?
Because potentially the other person involved here. Do we have a purple marker? Where's the purple?
Well, this is kind of...
The other person involved here, John Cena, may be absolved of this whole Nexus thing after Sunday's pay-per-view.
One way or another he is. He's either fired or he's
Feasting?
free. Yeah, absolutely.
Randy Orton defends his WWE Championship against Wade Barrett. And David, here I've got to ask
And the
this.
fumes are strong, aren't they?
They are. How unimportant has a champion been in recent history as Randy Orton is?
You know, for a guy that had so much fire 3 months ago, he has fizzled.
Yeah. It's because he's a good guy, in my opinion. It just doesn't fit. Doesn't work. Can't buy it. Not interested. Don't care.
Well, when The Miz beats you up, of course you're not that important anymore.
Speaking of which, guess who's working house shows together?
I have no idea.
Miz and Cena. One-on-one singles matchups. Now, what does that typically mean, David Hero? Yep, say it. Come on.
I don't know what that means. You tell me.
Down the road, we might see that match happening on TV.
We've already seen it on TV.
A match that means something if Cena becomes champion.
Cena's
Or-
might be champion.
Not tomorrow, not Sunday night.
The Miz might be champion.
He has hinted that he may cash it in at Survivor Series, which means he won't.
This is the guy that should be champion right now. Fella.
Is that Beaker?
Forgot the eyebrows. Could be.
Steps for this match. Pinfall or submission only. Pinfall or submission only
That's
if
fine.
Wade Barrett wins.
Which he will.
John Cena is no longer part of Nexus. If Randy Orton wins, John Cena is fired from not just Raw, but WWE overall.
John Cena is going to make sure he loses and will become the #1 heel in the company on Sunday.
What?
Yeah.
Because he's going to make Orton lose. Because he has to do what he has to do to stay in the
he
company.
might turn heel completely.
But then wouldn't that keep him aligned with Nexus?
Absolutely.
It was
Wouldn't that be
all
a
a
great...
ruse. It was all...
It's the Survivor Series. It's all about screw
I've
jobs.
got that feeling. I've got that Survivor Series feeling.
Here.
We talked about Survivor Series 1998. Remember Shane McMahon, the special guest referee?
Here's what I
1,
did.
2.
I shook up the crystal ball, and I see it. I see John Cena joining with Wade Barrett. You see that?
All I see is The Miz as the WWE champion.
That could happen, but first Cena and Wade Barrett will rule together.
I thought you'd be a Magic 8-Ball kind of guy.
That's Christian.
Randy Orton loses the title. Wade Barrett becomes WWE champion. The way you see it. How long will that last? Does Cena take it away from him?
Well,
I know you said Cena might align himself for
or
Nexus.
here's the other scenario. I would love to see Cena turn heel. Okay?
Number 1 heel in the company. Allowing this
Sure.
guy to go good again? Shoot.
Or what happens is he doesn't go heel. Okay? He still wins the championship. Randy Orton leaves. John Cena,
Leaves.
well, he leaves the ring. John Cena gives this jabroni the attitude adjustment,
Yeah,
which then allows The Miz to come and cash in. Could
It's
happen.
been 2 months since you said that was going to happen.
I
You're saying
know.
could happen.
It
Alternate
could.
scenario. Alternate ending to this
Right.
show.
If there's, if this was a DVD special, director's cut, but I've also said that this jabroni, The Miz, will also be the first guy to cash it in and not win. 2 scenarios. But at the end of the day, Wade Barrett will beat Randy Orton. What happens after that, I can't tell you. How do you like them apples?
Intriguing as usual.
Why wouldn't Cena become the number 1 heel? That's
Next
Survivor
pay-per-view is
Series.
tables, ladders, and chairs.
Oh my.
So scores are presumably settled at a pay-per-view of that nature, going into the Royal Rumble in January.
Here's the thing.
Ashmore?
If it's Cena versus Wade Barrett at a TLC match, that's going to then kill off Wade
Wow.
Barrett, you think? Right?
Mm-hmm.
They got to keep Wade Barrett strong until WrestleMania.
David Otunga, what about that whole thing?
Don't have much to say about Otunga.
Here's how you keep it separate. Otunga does this during the Kane Edge match. He's in charge there. Barrett's not involved.
Maybe Otunga takes over the Nexus SmackDown group.
Oh. Wolfpack?
Sure. Hollywood and Wolfpack.
Here's my problem. On top of many others.
I can't help you with it.
Why is everything over there again?
I put it harder on Layla. I didn't want to reach over that far all the time. It just happened that way.
New Divas champion. That's about all that happens.
Well,
This will be a big story regardless of what happens.
right.
One thing's clear, John Cena's not going to get fired even at the Survivor Series. To be brought back maybe, a week later or whatever.
Or no, maybe he is fired, but then maybe he's the mystery GM for all we know.
And I quote,
Right? I mean, they can go in so many different angles with this one match. I just hope they choose the right one. And that's not Randy Orton beating Wade Barrett.
Survivor Series this Sunday on pay-per-view. This is Be the Booker. David Hero has called it as follows. Natalya wins the Divas Championship. Kane retains the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. And Wade Barrett captures the WWE Championship. John Cena stays in WWE, becomes the number 1 heel in the company, aligns himself with Nexus, and the potential is there for a cash-in of the Money in the Bank briefcase by The Miz.
Going back to this match, I also like this because Lay Cool has gotten over on her on so many different things, making fun of Bret Hart, making fun of her father, coming out dressed like the Hart Foundation. She hasn't got her revenge yet. What better way to get back at Lay Cool than to take their titles away?
The reaction would be priceless from
Oh,
these two.
Absolutely.
They're good on a stick.
That's what I've heard.
We'll be back with you again next week with another edition of the Pro
No
Wrestling
more Be the
Report
Booker,
Prime
right?
Time.
Taking some time off from that again?
I think we got a couple weeks potentially.
Are we going to do a Blizzard Brawl Be the Booker?
No, because you're the booker.
Oh.
You can't be the booker.
I
if
know
you're
I'd
the
be right
booker.
on that one.
You know, I didn't mention this, but I was down in Orlando at Impact last week, earlier this week actually, and talked to the Pope.
Yeah.
Had some words to send your way.
It wasn't I love you.
No,
Okay.
it was the complete opposite.
Really?
So,
Well, he can't be upset
you guys
about
got heat.
No, we don't. He just doesn't get it. He doesn't see the big picture. If he listens to me, good things will happen.
Catering is great.
It's always great in Orlando.
We'll be back again next week with another edition of the Pro Wrestling Report, Primetime Television.